Israel is carrying out a wide-ranging air assault against the Iran-backed militia group Hezbollah in Lebanon. This comes after the militia group fired missiles at Israel to avenge the killing of Iran's supreme leader. In a statement, the IDF accused the militant group of acting on behalf of Iran and targeting Israeli civilians. It said it would act against the group's decision to join the campaign. Israeli forces have issued evacuation orders for more than 50 towns and villages across Lebanon. Lines of traffic have formed in Beirut as people have been attempting to leave the city since the early hours of this morning. We'll have more on the wider regional conflict in a moment, but first let's go straight to Beirut and to our correspondent Lina Sinjab. Lina, what is it like there at the moment?
Well, it's a relatively quiet morning with lots of caution, but I don't know if you can hear. We started to hear the Israeli drones again in the city. This is part of messages of warning to people and to Hezbollah. The Israelis are determined that they will take action against Hezbollah after they fired missiles last night. The government here is really upset with what's happened. The Prime Minister started in the early hours of the morning issuing a condemnation and saying those who launched the attack will be brought to justice. Later on, the Justice Minister said they will be arrested. And of course, now we've heard the President of Lebanon also condemning this attack and saying that this has crippled all the efforts of finding political solution and all the negotiations that were taking place over the past month. It's clear that the government is trying to press ahead to find a solution to de-escalate and stop this situation at this stage here. There is great fear that Israel will expand its war against Hezbollah and it will launch further attacks and widen the attacks. That's actually what they've warned before if Hezbollah was to drag Lebanon into this war. The views in the streets are also very much against this, although there will be some supporters of Hezbollah who would support this idea. However, they are the ones who are paying the highest price. You see the remnants of the last war that happened 18 months ago that crippled Hezbollah and eliminated its leadership, left many of the Hezbollah strongholds in rubbles and in destruction. And now you can see those same people are fleeing again, trying to find shelter away from a war that their leadership have launched without their permission.
Thank you, Lina. Lina just bringing us up to date there on what's happening in Beirut. Lina Sinjab, our correspondent there. Now, the growing regional conflict has entered its third day, with all sides launching large-scale airstrikes. The US and Israel began attacking Iran early on Saturday, with President Trump calling on the Iranian people to remove the country's government. Now, there have been reports of blasts in other parts of the Middle East, with smoke seen rising from the US embassy in Kuwait. Explosions have also been heard in Abu Dhabi and earlier on Monday in Bahrain, Doha and Dubai. Meanwhile, the authorities there say several US warplanes have crashed near the country's border with Iraq, although all crew members are believed to have survived. Sirens and explosions have also been heard in Jerusalem. This comes a day after Iranian missiles struck the Israeli city, killing at least 9 people. Speaking late on Sunday, Donald Trump said combat operations against Iran would continue until all our objectives were achieved. His words, he warned there would likely be more American casualties after the Pentagon confirmed that 3 US service members had been killed in action. Well, in the last hour, the Foreign Secretary has been speaking to the Today programme. She was asked by Nick Robinson about the UK's decision to allow the US to use British bases to strike Iranian missile sites.
These are US attacks on Iran launched from here. I promise you I don't mean this facetiously. I'm trying to get to the bottom of the difference between offensive and defensive. There may be people listening here, there certainly would be if they could listen to us in Iran, saying that if an American bomb lands and it was launched from British soil originally, they're not going to say, oh, well, that's fine, it was defensive.
So the agreement that we have made does not cover things like political targets or economic targets, those wider infrastructure or broader objectives. It is specifically about the missiles and attacks that are being targeted now at the Gulf partners. So we know that we've got these ballistic launchers, for example, that are in places in southern Iran, for example, that are pointing at the Gulf and that are being used at the moment.
Let's bring you more on that breaking news story. That authorities in Kuwait say several US warplanes have crashed near the country's border with Iraq. Let's bring you now that footage, which is being shared on social media and appears to show a fighter jet crashing to the ground. BBC Verify has confirmed the location of this video, said to show an F-15 crashing near Kuwait City. It is filmed from west of Kuwait City on the edge of the Al Jarrah area. The video has been checked for recency and run through AI video detection tools. Now, the Israeli President Isaac Herzog has spoken this morning to the BBC's Anna Foster on the Today programme on Radio 4 about the strikes carried out by Israel and the US against Iran.
And what I'm keen to establish here is what level of destruction in Iran you are trying to reach. There are questions about the legality of this war. We were talking to Sir Geoffrey Nice earlier in the programme, and he was saying that under international law, you can only attack preemptively if you fear an immediate use of force by the other side, which we haven't seen the evidence for that. Please do.
We are not attacking, not us nor the Americans, anything civilian. We are attacking places where there are launchers of huge missiles.
But there have been civilian deaths.
Who have created havoc and death and destruction also in Israel and the entire region. Of course, there are attacks on the command and control centers of the Iranian army and besieged. By the way, these attacks, let's not forget, just a few weeks ago, the Iranian regime mowed about 32 to 50,000 of those citizens, just like that, all of a sudden, just killed anybody who went to the street.
But we do need to acknowledge the civilian deaths so far. I don't want us to move too far away from the point here.
Yeah, but we should not, Anna, we should not be naive.
I don't think we're being naive by asking what
you
evidence
quoted an expert on international law explaining why things cannot be done. It's like waiting again and again for another attack by the Iranians.
Of an immediate use of force against Israel by Iran. Do you have that evidence? I asked if you had evidence of an immediate use of force by Iran against Israel.
I'll explain to you. If they carried out 20 attacks in Britain or perpetrated 20 attacks in Britain, you think they didn't attack Israel? They've tried to attack Israel from all corners of the earth in the last 2 years.
But do you have evidence of an immediate use of force?
But that's not the reason in international law. In international law, you use self-defense when you know that your enemy is perpetrating and planning movement towards a bomb that wants to annihilate you, because they say this bomb is in order to annihilate.
And President Herzog, the law says that has to be immediate.
We need to remove Israel
you're
from
not
the face of the
addressing that point.
Of course I'm addressing it, because we have huge amount of proof, which we are sharing, of course, with our British allies and every other ally. The fact that your base in Akrotiri in Cyprus was attacked for the first time by missiles from Iran, what does it mean? They think you're a friend or a foe? If you're a foe, then everybody should get together and fight these evil forces and break this empire of evil once and for all and bring different hope for the region and for the Middle East and for the future of the world. That's exactly what we're doing.
That's the Israeli President Isaac Herzog speaking to the BBC's Anna Foster there.